This is Worlds Without Number from Kevin Crawford. It is, if you will, the fantasy version of Stars Without Number, which is also an excellent RPG. And while this can be used with any fantasy setting, it is a very flexible system. The default setting of the Latter Earth and the Gaia leans more towards a sword and sorcery type of game. To contrast this with some other games I've recommended in the past, Mörkborg would be more of the super simple doom metal version of a OSR game, while Through Sunken Lands is ideal to get into play quickly and play one-shots. This is a more complete and in-depth rule system you can use for a long-form campaign. You have to put more effort into running and playing this game, but it gives you much more in-depth character options, rules and tools to really flesh out your game. Let me give you a quick overview and show you the highlights. It's a D&D-like D20 system, so you roll on your attributes, or you assign the numbers 14 and so forth. And if you roll a 3d6 6 times, you can change one attribute of your choice to 14 as a little incentive to roll instead of just using the point buy system. So far, so good. We also have a skill system with a number of skills. Among them are skills for magic and fighting skills. Stabbing for close combat, stick them with the pointy end, and shooting for ranged combat. We've got a sizable number of backgrounds, D20 backgrounds here, from Artesian to Wanderer. These give you a bit of background, but mostly they give you skills and maybe an attribute bonus or a saving throw bonus. Then we have 4 classes: the Expert, which is kind of a rogue, the Mage, which is a mage, the Warrior, which is a fighter, and the Adventurer, which is a mixture of the other 3 classes. At the beginning and on 3rd, 7th and 9th level, I think, you can choose a Foki, which gives you a special ability. It's basically a feat system. Then we've got equipment, armor and weaponry, complete encumbrance rules, and let me show you the character sheet here. This game differentiates between readied items that you carry on your body that can be drawn and used quickly, and items, stowed items in your backpack. Skill system, which is a 2d6 rollover system. Combat, which should be fairly familiar with Ascending Armor class. One specialty here is shock damage. Some weapons are so devastating that they will damage a foe even if you miss with the attack, which can be a real boon if you're wielding a two-handed sword and are swarmed by goblins or something. As long as the armor class is too low, then the weapon will hit them and do the shock damage, which is like 1, 2 or 3 points, even on a miss. And if you're swarmed by a number of very small creatures, this is a good thing to have. But what you have to keep in mind, all of these rules are optional, if you will, to be mixed and matched however you like. Don't like shock damage? Don't use it. It's all up to you. Got a magic system with spell slots and spell levels. What I like about the spells is that they have flavorful names and interesting effects rather than using only the classic D&D spells. As I said, this system is very flexible with a number of optional rules. Some of them are here in the back. They are only in the deluxe version, not in the free version. You can get most of this book for free as a free PDF on the free version, but some of it is only in the deluxe version, which I've got here and which I can really recommend. For example, we've got the heroic classes and characters. If you're looking for a more epic fantasy, more heroic campaign, you've got these options. You've got characters with more hit points, more skills and special abilities that will be able to take on much greater challenges than the normal heroes. You also got legates. These are characters that have done some heroic deed, and that gives them a connection to the legacy. The legacy is a form of magic that binds the world in the default setting together. And this allows you to have characters that become powerful during the game. It allows you to develop characters past level 10. So you've got a lot of options to customize the game to your liking here. You've got a number of class variants. If you want to have something like a druid, you can have the Darien Skin Shifter. Or if you don't like the spell slot system, you can play an ununique invoker who pay for their skills with spell points rather than having to prepare spells and spell slots. I've got the Beast Master if you want to play a ranger with an animal companion. A Blood Priest if you want to have more of a cleric type. And the Thought Noble, which is a kind of psionic. The default setting is the letter Earth, focused around the Gaia. This is a setting in which multiple worlds and travel between multiple worlds is so common, actually, that no one remembers where the original Earth was. So every world you go to is some derivate that was created by gods or powerful sorcerers long ago, or maybe not so long ago. It can be as small as a single cupboard that is big on the inside, or as big as a whole world. Basically, this gives the GM license to form the world however they like. But already in the default setting in the Gaia, there's much to be discovered, and you can have different themed campaigns in the different parts of the Gaia. We've got a good in-depth GM section, how to create your campaign, planning your work, building your backdrop, geography, nations, society, government, history, religion, ruins, text for locations, communities. So many tools here, so many random tables to build up the world as you go, as you need. And of course, this can be used with any other game. These are powerful tools and random tables to create any fantasy campaign. Even more GM section, creating adventures, planning and running adventures, creating combat challenges, creating exploration challenges, creating investigation challenges, all types of adventures, social challenges, rewards, experience, treasures, land ownership and domains. This is such a complete rule set magic items. We've got example magic items, but we've got a robust tool set to build our own. We've got monsters and creatures, many of them already. But once again, we've got a robust tool set with random tables to make our own monsters. Gives them motivation, gives them special abilities, everything you need. Here we also get some fantasy races and rules if you want to have them as player characters. And what I find interesting is that they have their own take on the dwarves and elves. Elves used to be human at one point, but they gain the ability to remember their past lives, so it's a form of immortality. And this has derivated them over the centuries from baseline humans to a mystical race that lives more in the past than the present. And dwarves are connected to the legacy, the magic, the rules that hold the world together, and they're usually doing a great work to build up the legacy and to create more. So this is leaning into the craftsman mentality of the dwarves. We've got even more GM tools, adventure hooks, adventure adjustments if you've got an idea but you need a bit more to spice it up and flesh it out. Architectural style to make your dungeons and cities special and unique. There's so much to help create worlds and adventures. Worlds without numbers is really the name of the game. There is so much in here to help with your creative process. So many tools, so many random tables. As I said, these can be used with any setting. You can make your own setting. You can play an existing setting and use these tools for anything. So, in summary, Worlds Without Number gives you a complete and flexible rule set that you can adapt to almost any fantasy setting. It's got an interestingly enough default setting which derivates in interesting ways from the standard fantasy fare towards the bit more outlandish multi-dimensional world. And it's got about 200 pages of just tools. Tools and tables and GM advice to help you create your campaign, help you create your adventures, and it's worth getting it just for these tools alone. As always, thanks for watching and goodbye.